What if you could fly like Iron Man today? Not in a comic, not in a lab in 2050, but with the tech you and I can actually build today. In the next few minutes, I'll show you the exact bottlenecks that stop a real suit, a real Iron Man suit, and 3 designs you could prototype now. Stay to the end of the clip for the version that surprised me most. Okay, so first things first, power. Tony Stark hides a small city's worth of power in his chest in the arc reactor. We don't have that. So the first question is not can it fly, but what's the wattage? Let's ballpark the energy budget. Vertical takeoff with a human plus armour. It's probably tens of kilowatts just to hover, and far more if you want to manoeuvre. Add in actuators for the exoskeleton, sensors, cooling pumps, avionics, comms, and your HUD, and you built a theme park strapped to a person. Lithium ion is fantastic for phones, but not for Iron Man. Mass explodes before the power does. Fuel cells give you lovely energy per kilogram, but poor surge power for jumps and sudden thrust vectoring. Micro-turbine jets deliver excellent power density and a screaming noise profile that makes your neighbours hate you. Every real design ends up in a compromised triangle. Energy, power, duration. You want a long flight time, carry fuel, gain mass, lose agility. Want instant power for repulsor-style bursts, carry capacitors. These add heat and add danger. There's no free lunch here, even for billionaires. So, why does the arc reactor work in fiction? It works because it collapses this triangle. It pretends we can have a phone-sized weight with power station output and zero heat. That's the magic. And until a real-world breakthrough unifies storage and power delivery in one miracle core, engineers have to stack multiple imperfect systems and juggle the heat. So how to fly without a miracle battery at all? Let's look at that next. Controlled thrust. Flying is easy. Controlled flying is hard. Birds solve it with evolved control surfaces and neural autopilots. Humans solve it with software. Limb-mounted micro-turbines work, we've all seen the demos, but the pilot is a balancing act in human form. You're not wrestling gravity, you're wrestling inertia in 6 degrees of freedom, while your arms are fire hoses. The fix is both obvious and also brutal. You have to give the computer the stick. A modern suit would treat the pilot like a passenger. IMUs to feel rotation, barometers and LiDAR for altitude, machine vision to read the ground, and predictive control loops that adjust thrust over 100 times a second. You lean, the system interprets intent and does the maths that you can't in that time. That's how fighter jets fly. They're aerodynamically unstable on purpose, and software keeps them tame. For an Iron Man, the same principle makes limb jets unusable. Micro gimbals meaningful and hovering practical in gusty air. But can you bank around a tower like Tony Stark? Only with redundancy. Lose one thruster and the others must instantly over-throttle and re-vector. That demands spare power headroom, which drags us back to the first problem, power. See how everything links? The third problem is actuation and load paths. The armour is not clothing, it's a mobile crane. Every kick, catch and mid-air twist routes force through a lattice of actuators and braces. A credible Iron Man-style suit would separate 3 layers. There'd be a soft undersuit for comfort and cooling, and a powered exoskeleton that carries the load. And on the outside, armour plating that attaches to the exo, not your ribs. Otherwise, the first time you catch a falling object, your collarbone would break. Electric motors with harmonic drives are precise and compact, good for elbows and wrists. Hydraulics excel in raw force, but leak and heat your coolant like a sauna. Pneumatics are light but springy, great for a quick assist, but terrible for fine control. A hybrid exosuit picks and mixes per joint. Heat is the problem here, though. Every watt you spend becomes heat you have to remove, or the pilot cooks. That means liquid loops, phase change materials to buffer peaks, and radiators hidden as design features. Shoulder fins that are actually heat sinks, shin vents that are miniature ram air ducts. A real Iron Man suit has to keep the pilot in that 18 to 30 degrees Celsius comfort window and still get you performance. Let the pilot overheat and your best actuator is useless because the human inside the machine is failing. Problem number 4, strength without weight. Real armour is a sandwich. Hard ceramic to shatter the projectile, tough fibre composite to catch the fragments, viscoelastic layers to spread the load. Titanium alloy adds heat resistance and structural mounts. Carbon fibre saves mass but hates sharp impacts unless you lay it up very cleverly. Could you take rifle fire? Yes, with mass. Could you take a missile? No, unless survive means the black box was recovered. This is where cinema diverges from the real science. The right goal for a real suit is not invulnerability, it's survivability. You need to reduce the penetration, deflect the heat, and when all else fails, fail gracefully so a human can crawl away. Joints need to be flexible and rigid, which is impossible, so we cheat with smart materials. Fluids that thicken on impact, lattices that buckle predictably, and topology-optimized metal prints that carry load paths like bones do. You don't need unbreakable, you need predictable. Right, quick summary. We've mapped the problems. Now we need to pick our poison. I'll talk now about 3 potential build design paths you could start today. Each one trades a different kind of impossibility for a different kind of awesome. Why don't you let me know which one you'd wear? The first design I'm going to call the Jet Sprinter. This design straps micro-turbines to forearms and calves as a torso fuel spine and lets software do 90% of the flying. Think of it as sprinting like a hummingbird. You won't cruise across a continent, but you can clear obstacles, bridge rooftops, and hover long enough to impress your future in-laws. This Iron Man suit would have 2 to 6 micro-turbines with quick-swap fuel cartridges, thrust vectoring wrists with auto-stabilizers, Kevlar carbide heat shields on the shins and forearms, a liquid cooling loop and phase change packs near the spine, and lastly an emergency ballistic chute and auto-deploy. The pros of this design are an incredible power-to-weight ratio and a thrilling responsiveness. The cons, well, the noise to begin with, the fuel first, blast hazard. The learning curve would be steep, so the computer has to be your guardian angel. Lose a turbine, the others overcrank, you auto-yaw, and you land whether you want to or not. The second design I'm going to call the Silent Exo. This design ditches jets and doubles down on exoskeleton strength. No flight, but superhuman lift, sprint and jump. The kind of suit that lets a medic carry 2 people or a technician handle heavy tools all day with surgeon-level precision. This design would have electric or electro-hydraulic actuators with harmonic drives, energy recovery on descents and braking, shoe plates with spike roller modes for grip versus glide, modular armour plating with soft armour at the flex zones, and big surface radiators disguised as shoulder fins. Pros of this design are long run times, nice quiet operation, suburban friendly. The cons, gravity is undefeated, you can jump and cushion landings, but not hover. For many real world jobs, disaster response, construction, industrial maintenance, this is probably the design you want. The third design I'm going to call the Hybrid Glider. This design uses small electric ducted fans to gain altitude from a rooftop or a fast cable winch, and unfolds high-aspect wings for a silent glide. Think flying squirrel meets powered paraglider wrapped in sci-fi swagger. This design would have electric ducted fans for short climbs and a quick swap battery sled. It would have a pop-out carbon wing with micro flaps for control, machine vision terrain reading for safe landing zones, tapered armour, chest and back heavier, limbs lighter, and it would have a heatsink belly plate that doubles as an air brake. This design would trade vertical brute force for elegant physics. Less range, more noise, but wind becomes your co-pilot. And you'll practice landings a lot. So let's talk weapons and tools. Those repulsors that Tony Stark has. Real plasma doesn't politely form a Marvel film beam energy. What you can carry are tools that look like sci-fi. Compact cutting lasers for breaching, high voltage stunners for drones, line launchers, smoke, flare pods, non-lethal dazzlers. If you insist on kinetic punch, coil launch assist for darts or grapples is plausible for short bursts, but not Hollywood carnage. The smartest weapon you'll have is probably information. Drones that can extend your vision, a HUD that fuses it, and an AI that picks threats before you feel them. You don't win by blasting, you win by not being surprised. I mentioned AI there, so let's talk about that onboard computer. Jarvis isn't just quips, it's cognitive load management. The human brain is brilliant, but limited. A real suit filters the fire hose into a trickle of meaning. Control inputs can be tiny. Eye tracking, tongue switches, finger muscle signals picked up under the glove. Voice is great until the turbines shout you down. So the suit reads intent from multiple channels and chooses the one that's got the best signal in the moment. Over time, the pilot cedes more authority to the system. First stabilisation, then navigational aid, then automated emergency response. That's not sci-fi, that's how we already fly airliners and even drive on motorways. So, if you could build it, should you? Any technology that multiplies human ability multiplies human consequences. Safety interlocks are not optional, they're moral. Geofencing for flight, velocity limits near crowds, encrypted telemetry, and signed firmware to stop bad actors hacking your new suit. And for the record, a real-world Iron Man is a team sport, not a one-man Tony Stark deal. Pilots, engineers, medics, airspace controllers, regulators, all of those boring parts that keep the exciting parts from becoming a news story for the wrong reasons. So could we build an Iron Man suit today? We can definitely build pieces that feel like it. We can fly with micro-turbines, we can lift with exoskeletons, we can see with HUDs, and we can think with AI assist. What we don't have is the miracle core that collapses that triangle of energy, power, and duration, and the heat sink to make it comfortable. In the next decade, expect more jet sprinters, better silent exos, and braver hybrid gliders. If a true arc reactor class breakthrough arrives, the rest of the suit will be ready to meet it. So, which design are you strapping on? Design 1, Design 2, or Design 3? And why? Drop it in the comments. I read them all. Tap subscribe so you don't miss my next video. I'm Dr. Dan Stokes, and this is the Real Science of Sci-Fi.